What's going on, Badger fans? We have a fun, bold predictions episode of Locked On Badgers. Are the Badgers beating Ohio State, going to the playoffs? Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every day. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings. Over there, we got Rajiv. Down there, we got Justin. Today's show is brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, gentlemen, we got bold takes. We put it out there. We got bold takes from the community. And Rajiv, you mentioned this the other day. The Locked On Badgers community is among the best Badger communities out there. I'm not going to say it's the best, but it's definitely among the best. And we got some great responses here. What we're going to do is we're going to put up your responses on bold predictions, and we're just going to roundtable it and say, yeah, we see that happening. No chance in heck, or lock it in, whatever. You guys ready for this? We got some of our own too. All right, first one here. This is from, I kind of grouped these. So the other thing, if you didn't get your comment in, it's probably among a grouping of things. Like we had a lot about the Ohio State game, for example. We have a lot about Tanner Mordecai Heisman, for example. So I'm probably only going to take one of each, but let's start with the Ohio State game, guys. This is from Caleb. We're beating Ohio State Halloween weekend is my take. I will die on that mountain come end of October as well. Been saying it since the schedules came out, that atmosphere will be like no other. Here's another one. Hassan says Wisconsin goes into the Ohio State game undefeated and blows those losers out. Mordecai throws for 400. Theme of the season will be lack of preparation for the past game from opponents. Guys, let's talk Ohio State. Both these comments from Hassan and Caleb beating Ohio State. Hassan says blowing the losers out. Rajiv, I'll kick it over to you to start this one. We buying or selling this?
I mean, we're selling this, but listen, I think that
we're selling the blowout.
Look, it is, and this will come up in one of my other takes. It's really hard to play on the road in the Big Ten at night. Ohio State that's going to be a very difficult game for them.
And Halloween weekend.
Exactly. I mean, the atmosphere in Camp Randall Stadium is going to be absolutely epic. These three guys on the show right now are going to be there, so that's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. So is it possible? Absolutely. Is it likely? Probably not that we're going to win that game. But yeah, there's no reason not to believe that this could be a win for us because, the atmosphere is going to be there. This is a new team, an entirely new culture. And that just means that they're going to be thinking about that too, right? Ohio State's going to have that on their mind. They know this is not the Wisconsin they've basically pummeled year in and year out. It's going to be different. It's going to be challenging. We're not going to blow them out. But yeah, I say this is in that realm of possibility.
Yeah, I'm going to go out and flat out say it. I think that this is the closest this matchup has been since probably 2017 in a game that was ultra tight when we were in Indy. And I think that we have a legitimate shot at this game. Ohio State's definitely favored, but this is the first time I've looked at it that it could very well be that there's weapons that Wisconsin could actually cause some problems for Ohio State with on the offensive side. There's some scheme things that I think that they'll be able to do. And I actually think defensively, the scheme changes that we have are going to help us quite a bit in terms of dealing with things. And you never know how a young quarterback, which Ohio State's going to have, is going to play in a game like this. If we both come in undefeated and Wisconsin is the first team that really, I think did they play? Who did they play right before us?
Penn State the week before
us.
Yeah.
So they're going to come into this game potentially a little beaten up from that game. Like that's a huge game for them. There could be an emotional letdown in this game, and there could be some craziness in this. And if Mordecai comes out gunslinging and setting things ablaze, this could be a heck of a game for Wisconsin. It would not shock me if we win it, but blowout. We're a ways from blowout.
Listen, Hassan, I love you, man. Let's blow those losers out. But yes, I agree. We are selling the blowout. I'm also going to sell. It's not impossible. Like it would not shock me, like Justin said. But I've seen too many years of Ohio State just out talenting Wisconsin, and I don't think that gap closes in 1 year under Luke Fickell. Like the talent gap is still enormous, and a lot of the dudes that Fickell is bringing in, younger guys, the young players in the defensive secondary that we're excited about, they're not going to be quite there. Playing at home, getting them off Penn State, using advantages. I am still going to sell. I think Ohio State beats us at home, but I hope to be wrong. I hope to be wrong. Let's get into the next one, Justin.
Right. Before we jump on, if we win that game, I'm not sure that the three of us make it out of Madison alive.
I don't think if we win that game, we just live in that moment for eternity. I love my family, but can I just stay in that?
They find us laying on the floor in Camp Randall Stadium.
It will be the most epic reaction show ever.
Yes.
By the way,
If we win that game, we're gonna do a reaction show from the stadium. We'll figure it out.
All on our phones.
On our phone. Yeah.
Let's keep going here. We got a bunch more comments, a bunch more bold predictions. This is from a couple different people. Undefeated season. Logan Couch, 12-0 undefeated national champions this year. Let's just start with 12-0, Logan. Let's start with 12-0 undefeated regular season. Justin, I'll kick this one to you to start. We buying or selling that bold prediction as a possibility?
I'm going to throw that out there as a possibility. I think that there is a chance where things play out that way. Now, is it likely? No, it's not. It's not something that I'd ever come into a season and say an undefeated season is ultra likely. But I think if you look at the schedule, there's ways like Wisconsin's going to be favored in every game at Ohio State. Like that's just what it is. And we're hearing a lot of the pundits and people who have actually seen the team, and especially the BTN guys who came through, said that Wisconsin is the best team they saw from the West. And I think they said that there was no discernible real holes with this team in terms of how we stack up. Now, that doesn't mean we stack up with the top three teams overall in the conference, but it means that the gap is probably something that we can mitigate a little bit. Like we're not going to be a punching bag in any of the games. So the way I look at it is, 12-0 is a possibility. Is it a high probability? No, I would if I was going to put a percentage on it, it's probably single digits, but there's a chance it happens.
Yeah, I'm selling that, and I'm all about the optimism and the belief that 12-0 is not in the cards for this team right now.
Boo!
Yes, boo me all you want. I think that the Big Ten season is a grind, right? There's a lot of good teams. I know it's on paper an easy schedule, and that's great for us, but we're talking about going to Washington State, we're going to Purdue, we're going to Illinois, and we're hosting Ohio State. We've got Nebraska later. Who knows what they're going to be? Minnesota, that's a thumping. Don't worry about that one. But I feel like, look, I think the difference between 12-0 and 8-4 is very, very close. Mm-hmm. If this team becomes turnover happy and Tanner Mordecai is throwing picks, and our offense is high flying, but the wrong play at the wrong time in the wrong game, and all of a sudden we're 8-4 and we're staring up at someone else winning the Big Ten West, or maybe we're in that game potentially. But I would love to see this team go undefeated, and that'll be a wonderful day when that happens, because it will happen soon. It's not going to happen this year. I'm selling that pretty easily.
Low key, one thing I want to chime in with here on this. Everyone gets really high on these Mordecai turnover prognostication, and he actually has a lower percentage of interceptions based off of attempts. He's at like 2.5% or something like that, which would be the lowest for everyone not named Jack Cohn or Russell Wilson.
He hasn't played in the Big Ten though, right? I mean, that's right. A big difference.
I'm gonna also sell this. Jeffrey D in the comments said we're gonna go 7-6, from 7-6 to 12-0. I wouldn't even put it into single digits. I don't think it's just so hard for a team to go undefeated. And then you throw in the first year staffs, a new quarterback, new weapons at the receiver, changing schemes. I get the schedule's light, which is why I think which is why I'm banging the over on 8.5. I think that's an easy over, but I'm not. There's too many ways in college football to lose a game. Right, a dropped punt from, by the way, a new punter, a missed kick, by the way, from a new kicker, an injury to your quarterback, and by the way, a backup quarterback who's never had experience. Like, it's just too many ways to lose a game in college football. So, I would sell 12-0 pretty hard, but I love the team. I love the optimism. I'm going to sell it pretty hard though,
because honestly, you have to. I'll say sorry. One quick thing. It's a really good point you brought up there, Ryan, about special teams. That is something that I think collectively we would be selling right now. Our own special teams. It is a weakness. It will come up in tough games, close games. That is something to keep our eye on. That is something that really concerns me going into the season, to be fair. As far as overall concerns, there aren't a lot of holes in this team, but that honestly is a big question mark.
Yep, I agree there for sure. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with Mordecai for Heisman, Braylon Allen, 1,800 yards, 2,000-yard receivers on this team. We got a lot to talk about on today's Badgers, Locked On Badgers. But first, we're going to take a quick break for friends of the show. Good friends of the show over at LinkedIn. And everyone here listening to the show, the Rajiv and Justin would attest to this. It takes the perfect parts to make a championship team come together, a championship podcast, a championship fan group, a championship whatever. And that's where LinkedIn comes in. It helps you build that championship team. And every new potential hire can feel like a high stakes wager for your small business. LinkedIn is here to help you navigate those waters. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. It's something I've used professionally. It's something my company uses. They have simple tools, screening questions. They make it easy to focus on the candidates that have the right skills, the right experience, the right people that come in the door. Justin talked about it. I still don't remember the name of the spaghetti strainer. But the thing that gets rid of all the stuff and only keeps the spaghetti in the pot. That's what LinkedIn does. Gets rid of the bad candidates. They drain away and you keep the good spaghetti candidates. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Now let's get everybody back in and let's keep going here. Justin, what's the name of that thing again?
Hollander.
Yeah, no clue. I would never remember that. All right, let's get into the next one here. I have a bunch of suggestions. Again, we're not going to be able to get to everybody's because a lot of people had similar bold takes with Mordecai. So let's get into this one. Mordecai top 5 Heisman votes. That's from T Badger. And again, I had several people with a version of this for Tanner Mordecai. So if you don't see your comment put up, it's because it's something similar to this. I'll kick this one off. I'm going to sell. I'm going to sell on Tanner Mordecai being in the top 5 in Heisman votes. And I think one of the big reasons I'm going to is I think Braylon Allen is going to have a monster year. I don't think Mordecai is going to put up video game numbers, which I think as a quarterback at Wisconsin you would need to do. Because at the end of the day, the Bamas, Georgias, those schools are still always, all things being equal, their guys get a notoriety bump. It just is what it is. We've seen that at the running back position. So I'm going to sell. I think Mordecai is going to have a really good year. I think there's going to be a few too many picks and not enough video game numbers, though, to get in that top 5 for the Heisman.
I'm going to sell as well, but I'm going to sell using one of my takes, which is that Braylon Allen will be in New York on Heisman night. That's one of my bold takes because, look, I mean, I've said it before. He's going to run into 6-man boxes. The guy's going to get the ball a lot more than we think he is. Even the BTN guys that were there this week just said he looked incredible and the ways that he's being used in the offense. So, yeah, I think Braylon Allen goes. I hope Mordecai has a special season, and I think that he will have a great year. But like Ryan said, if you want to be better, if you want to be in there with the quarterbacks, so that's Georgia, Alabama, those guys, you have to have a super, super big year. If anyone on our team is going to have that super big of a year, it's going to be Braylon Allen, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit on this. And it's not because I think it's going to happen, but if there was a year for it to happen, this is kind of the year for him to be doing it. Because if he does have a big year, which I think he has the potential to do, I don't think he's going to get to 40-plus touchdown passes, which is kind of the barometer where you start getting kind of lumped into that category. But every other major team is basically coming in with a new quarterback this year. So basically, unless it's Drake May or someone like Bo Nix, there's not really somebody out there that's proven that we're expecting to go out there and put up huge numbers this year. It's a lot of guys who have potential to do it that we have no idea if they're going to or not. Now, I just don't think I don't know what to expect with this offense, but it's really hard for me to wrap my head around the idea of Mordecai going out there and throwing 40 touchdown passes. Like even wrapping my head around 30 feels like it's such a leap of faith given what we've seen offensively from this team for so long. I think he'll get that done, but I could see him having an amazing year, having 35 touchdown passes and not really being in the Heisman unless Wisconsin is somehow undefeated heading into the conference championship game.
Which
are you guys buying? Are you guys buying or selling Braylon Allen in that top 5?
Well, let me throw this comment up here. So we have a few of these as well. Who had the Braylon Allen? Sorry, there you go. Connor Schmidt. Braylon Allen will be top 5.
Perfect. Nice, Connor.
Yep. And Rajiv, you kicked that one off. We're kind of rotating in circles here. Where are you at on that?
Well, yeah, that was one of my takes. 100%. I think he absolutely will be in there. Well, not 100%. That's the prediction of. Yeah, I mean the guy's absolutely going to average. I mean, think really 6.5 yards of carry is really not out of the question for what he can average. So yeah, absolutely. I think I'm buying that all day.
What do we think he needs to get to actually be in the discussion for that? Does he have to get over 1,800 yards?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's got to get at least 1,800 yards. Yeah.
Do you think he gets the number of carries required for that?
I think he will get more than a lot of people think he will get. So I think his average per carry is going to be a lot higher. So, in order to get to 1,800, he doesn't necessarily need to have like a ton of, yes, he needs a lot of carries, but I think he's going to break a lot more in this system. So he will have enough carries.
See, I think he could end up having like a 1,400 yard rushing year, have a really good year, and still have like 250, 300 yards receiving to go with it. Yeah. And it's not going to put him quite where he needs to be to really get seriously taken into that. But he could be great for us in terms of what he actually does statistically and how he affects the game on the field. I just think that it's really hard to get a grasp. Our running backs, I think, are the low-key hardest to pinpoint what's going to happen with them this year, given we don't really know how they plan on using them, because the two guys that did it at North Carolina the year they had huge numbers, the 2,000-yard backs, those guys had ridiculous yards per carry numbers. One of them was like around 7. The other one was almost 8, I think. Neither one of them had a huge number of carries. And I think that that's where I get concerned. Now, I think Braylon's obviously going to get more reps than Malusi. So I think that's going to kind of skew it a little bit in his direction. But I'm curious to see how much of a difference it makes. Like, is he going to be a guy we see at 250 carries, or is he going to be down closer to 200 and, has some receptions on top of that kind of bumps up his numbers?
Patrick Minahan says he would sell on both of those. Jason Geldon says plus 15,000 for Mordecai to win the Heisman. Throwing a few bucks on that. Let's go here. So I'm gonna actually buy the possibility more than Mordecai. Now, whatever that means, but I do think he's going to have a monster year. And I think the year in Brady Collins' strength and conditioning program for Braylon, he's bigger and faster. I think that's going to help alleviate some of the lingering injuries he's had, none of which have been severe, by the way, right? We really haven't seen the prime Braylon Allen. This is the prime Braylon Allen year. And he's going to have more space. I think he's going to go back to that season 2 years ago where he was averaging like 6.77 yards per carry, whatever it is. And if he's doing that and the Badgers are better, right, in more primetime games, he's going to get the hype, because the thing with the Heisman is it's half what you're doing and half popularity contest. And people are going to really like watching a 245-pound guy obliterate defensive backs. And because of that, he's going to become more of a media darling. And I could see that ball rolling. So I'm going to buy this one as a possibility, but I'm selling the Mordecai one. Yeah. All right, let's get some more in here. A bunch of ones here. This is, let's see. Buy or sell, Skyler Bell leads the team in receiving yards. We buy in that.
Certainly bold.
I'm going to go ahead and sell that. I don't. Yeah. We can be quick on a couple of these. I think it's going to be I think there's 2 or 3 people who are more likely.
There's probably 4 guys that we feel pretty confident are going to be ahead of him in the pecking order.
I love Skyler Bell. I am selling on this, though.
I think he'll have a nice season, though.
Listen, Bryson Green just looks like an absolute monster. Everyone else looks great in that room. Yeah, selling this, but hope he has a big year and think he still will.
Let's get into this one here. From Ryan Eilers. Gosh, I always mispronounce his name. He's a Discord legend. He's one of the great members of our Discord board. Wisconsin will have 2,000-yard receivers this year.
See, I don't think this is going to happen. One of my bold predictions, I'm going to throw it in here with this one because I think it works well. Bryson Green will have 900-plus receiving yards and over 9 touchdowns, and will move himself into a top 3-round pick in the draft this year. I think that they may have multiple guys that are 800-plus. I don't think they're going to get, with the way we'll spread the ball, they're going to get 2 guys over 1,000.
Yep, same thing. Selling because of the distribution. Honestly, where we've ad nauseum, we've talked about 4, 5, 6 deep at the wide receiver position. Tight end will obviously get some looks. Running backs will get some looks. So yeah, I think that just because of distribution, got to sell that.
I'm selling as well. I think there's just too many targets to spread around. Because you're talking Mordecai's not going to throw for at best 3,500 yards. You're talking 2/3 of those yards go to 2 people. That's just not. It's not going to happen with this team. I like this one. PJ Fleck. Wisconsin beats Minnesota by more than 30.
Buy it, baby. Buy that all day.
Why not 40?
Because why not? We've had enough pain in the last few years with Minnesota, and we are going to put all that to rest this year. We're going to put them back where they belong, way, way in the bottom of the conference, nowhere near the Badgers. So yeah, buy them.
I don't think it will be said publicly, but I feel fairly confident of some of the things we've kind of heard in the background that Fickell is not a PJ Fleck fan. And I think that he wants to kind of make a point, given all the squawking that's been going on from the West, from these guys, that listen, this is not the same coaching staff that you kind of got those couple of garbage W's on. It ain't happening anymore.
Yeah, I'm going to sell the 30. Like, Minnesota is still a solid team. Let's be realistic there.
I think,
like, they're solid. They have some nice pieces. The receiving core is good. The defense line has some pieces, but they're going to beat them. Like, Fickell is going to beat that team by multiple touchdowns this year. I just don't think it's 30, right?
They have no quarterback. They have no running back. They're going to lose by 30 points.
Yeah.
I
don't know if it's going to be 30, but it's going to, I'll actually say 3 scores.
Okay.
It could be 17-21. I could see that happening.
Zach Barth had a great comment. He says, yes, Ryan, sell the 30 and make it 40. Love it.
I love Zach, man. And thank you for everyone getting in the comments. I'm trying to keep up with everything, but we have some others that have already submitted, so we're trying to get all this in. Really do appreciate the community, as always. Let's go to this one here. I like this one. CJ Goetz will lead the team in sacks. Kyle Candler. I'll just say I'm actually more interested in buying this one than I would have been. It seems like the longer this has gone on, the higher the coaching staff, they're talking about CJ Goetz in a way that I'm pretty excited about the year that he's going to have. Mike Tressel talked about him quite a bit, and there's kind of a dearth of an obvious candidate, so I don't see – I could see that as a possibility. I could buy this as a bold take.
A little possibility. I'm going to sell this. I don't think that CJ Goetz is going to lead the team in sacks. I still think that's going to come from the outside a little bit more and from other people. I just don't really feel like he's the guy. I will weave in one of my other takes on the defensive line is that Jamel Howard will be a starter by the end of the season. Curious to what you guys think about that one.
So, and I love Howard. I love Howard. I don't think he's going to start by the end of the year. I think coming in, not being an early enrollee and then being dinged up are the two things that are going to really hold back from that.
The way I'll weigh in on that one is I think the reason why Benton ended up a starter was we really didn't have somebody ahead of him that they felt comfortable with, which gave him opportunity that isn't necessarily there right now. I think they feel pretty good with Paez if they have to put him out there, that he'll be solid. And that may be really all they're truly looking for. And I think Curtis Neal has some things that he offers too. Now, do I think that if there's a possibility he's definitely going to start pushing into some playing time? Yes. And I think next year for sure he's going to be the starter.
I just think once he pushes for playing time, he's going to push himself all the way to the top.
He could be very productive for a big boy.
All right, let's take a quick break here. Coming up, we still have a CJ Williams hot take, a couple more hot takes, including one for a total sack from the defense line. Then we got to get into some of ours as well. That's coming up next on Lockdown Badgers. But first, a quick break for our friends of the show. And a quick second to say thank you so much for everybody tuning in, for everybody in the comments, for everybody leaving your questions on Twitter. Y'all are amazing. Thank you so much. And let's just get Rajiv in. Let's get Justin back in. We got a lot of ground to cover on this one. I want to kick it around and let's go through at least one of our bold takes too. I know we have our list. We're trying to get through everybody in the chat. Justin, I'll just lead up. We have some good and bold. One of my bad bold takes, I don't want to say bad, but if the season doesn't live up to expectations, maybe this is a good way to word it. I think this might be one of the reasons why. We kind of talked about it. I think special teams will cost us a game this year. Maybe not directly, but indirectly. We have a new punter. We're replacing a great punter. New kicker. I think there's going to be a game this year where either we don't hit the field goal we need to hit or a punt goes 27 yards. I think special teams could cost us big time this year. When we're talking about those thin margins between being 10-2 and 8-4, I think special teams will cost us.
I had a similar take on this. Mine was more so there's going to be a game that's closer than it should be because of it, but I don't think it's going to cost this one. I believe in the offense, Ryan. I'm sorry. I'm going bigger. I am all in on the offense. I honestly think, listen, our offense has been so bad that I think we're kind of like somebody who's just been bullied for the last, like our older brother's been kicking us around for the last 6 weeks or last 6 years because we haven't had a decent offense. So we're kind of beaten down and don't really know what a good offense looks like. So at this point, I just think that none of us really truly have the expectations that we should for what we potentially can be on offense. And I think that especially given how weak offensively the West is, gives us a lot of opportunity this year compared to what we normally would, especially if the defense doesn't take a big step back.
Look, even if the offense is as good as we're hoping it is, and obviously I believe that it will be as well, but special teams, we're still going to have several drives that end, at the 30-yard line. What are we going to do? Do we have a field goal kicker that can get it done? We're going to be backed up in our own end zone with punting.
We'll go for it on fourth down.
Well, maybe. And
we're not going to punt from the 40 inside the 40.
We probably will go for that more, and I think that's good. But I really do. I'm buying this, Ryan. I think that it will. It's going to happen, and it will be one of the reasons that we lose one of the games we shouldn't, because it is a concern that isn't really being talked about too much.
All right, Rajiv, let's take another one of yours.
Yeah, so I'm going to say that our lovely, very own Luke Fickell will win Big Ten Coach of the Year. I think it's going to be for a couple reasons. One, because we're going to win the conference, but also because the delta that from what Wisconsin used to be and what we are now is so different. And it's going to just be so evident to everyone who watches us how different we are, that's going to sort of play into that. And I think I actually think he's a clear winner, because we're going to have a good season and we're going to look so much better than we have in the past. And it's frank, when you look at guys like Harbaugh and Day, those guys win it a lot. There's really nothing too special about what they're doing. This is going to seem like the big special thing. Luke Fickell, Coach of the Year of the Big Ten.
I'm going to buy that. Yeah. I think Wisconsin's going to do really well. And I think, to your point, the difference in optics from what Wisconsin is, like, Fickell's going to get a lot of credit for upgrading kind of the Wisconsin way and revolutionizing it, modernizing it. So, yeah, I think that's a great one. I hadn't thought about it, but I'm buying that. I think that's a great one.
Well, I mean, given that I think they're going to go undefeated, that seems logical.
You said single percentage.
I did. I said that it's possible. I actually think that it's going to be 10-2 or potentially even an 11-1 type season. So if that happens and the offense is what I think the offense is capable of being, he's going to get the kudos for that. So he's going to get some pub off of Longo's achievements, which there's nothing wrong with that, because I think the defense will be strong too. But I really think that if the team comes together the way I think they're going to, then I think that he's going to have that opportunity, especially given the fact that he is kind of the flashy name in college football right now.
Just why don't you throw one of yours out there, one of your bold takes?
I tell you what, I'm going to go out there and say there will be a defensive lineman that has 5+ sacks. You want me to put a name on it?
Who do you think that is, Justin?
Is that Varner?
I think it's going to be Varner.
Wow. I'm going to sell that only because I think that, I mean, if you told me that, if you said bowlers, then I think I would be a little bit more in line with you. But I think I'm a little concerned about how he's going to fold into the team injury stuff. So I'm going to sell that, but I like it. It is a bold take.
I need to see how they're going to use bowlers before I can. I think he's going to have his hand on the ground, but is he going to be a hybrid outside linebacker, or is he going to be an actual defensive end in some sets?
I think he'll be a hybrid, but I think that'll benefit his sack ability.
I'm going to sell it. I think with Varner, I think there's a question how he's going to play in the Big Ten. A lot of his sacks, I forget the team. He had 3.5 or 4.5 of his sacks in one game last year against a team that was probably just overmatched. Something weird happened there. I'm going to sell that one. I think the defense line can be fine, but I don't think any of them are getting to 5 sacks.
It is worthy of note that the Big Ten Network guys really raved about the D line. A lot of people are commenting on that too, and I saw that and read about that as well. So that is a good thing. I mean, there are people that are watching this team practice a little bit, and they have mentioned how good the D line looks. So that could be a real positive for us.
It's going to be interesting because it sounds like the way the scheme works, they're going from being read-react to just shooting gaps, which is going to change what happens with them. Now, it can have some positive and negative effects. You guess and you guess wrong, some bad things can happen. You can have a run that gets gashed for 20 yards that you're not expecting it because somebody missed a hole. But if they have the opportunity with something like this, with less reading and waiting, then they're going to have more opportunity to potentially just take a shot and have tackles for losses and things like that, that the defensive line looks better than what we would have expected in the past, rather than just trying to close holes before the running back gets downhill.
This ties into that one, Tyson's corner. Defense line as a group will have more sacks than last year, 7.5.
Yes.
I think we all buy that one. I think collectively they'll get to that point. I just don't think individually.
I think they'll get double digits collectively.
Bold prediction. You're going to have a 3,000-yard passer, a 1,500-yard rusher and 2 different 1,000-yard receivers. Now, we already talked about the 1,000-yard receivers. So let's say a 1,000-yard receiver and an 800-yard receiver, because that was another prediction we had. So 3,000-yard passer, 1,500-yard rusher, 1,000-yard receiver, and an 800-yard receiver.
Oh, man.
I'm going to sell that only because I don't think we're going to. The 1,500-yard rusher, that's a check for me. The 1,000 and 800, perhaps. Actually, no. I don't think Mordecai's getting to 3,000 yards because of how much I think Allen will eat into those yards a lot, and that's a great thing for us. So I think he's at 27, 28, 29, somewhere in that area, but I don't think he's going to hit 3,000. The more I think about Allen.
I think he's going to comfortably get 3,000, and I'll explain why.
Comfortably.
Phil Longo's offenses have put up video game type passing numbers in terms of yardage without a decent defense across from them. Meaning they have not had a defense that gets the other team off the field consistently during his tenure at North Carolina. He is now going to have a defense that's capable of forcing 3 and outs and getting the offense right back on the field. Now, there may be some games where he doesn't necessarily set the world afire, just because if the offense is really clicking and they get up quickly, you may not have to. Now, that was one of the byproducts of having a bad defense at North Carolina. You end up throwing a lot more than you probably wanted to necessarily, because he constantly had to keep his foot on the gas because they weren't ahead by a lot. But that's the difference that I think that there's some possibility here where he could have an opportunity where he's going to be able to, at least in first half, really attack with the passing game. I don't think he's not going to have like a 3,800 yard season, but I think he's going to get to at least 32.
Okay. So are you buying or selling on it?
I'm selling on it because of the fact that I don't think 2 receivers, we're not going to have 1,000 and an 800 yard guy. I think if you said 2 800 yard guys, I think there's a possibility that happens.
We could do this whole show on just one hot take, and Justin could just keep
going. It would get really boring after the first 5 minutes.
But this is another one a lot of people talked about, and it's winning the Big Ten, because you can lose the Ohio State game, which we've gone back and forth with. A lot of people have talked about their bold prediction is Wisconsin wins the Big Ten. We just had another one here from Blake Nelson. Bold prediction is 11-1. Big Ten title game, beat Michigan. A bunch of comments. Badgers win the Big Ten this year. Bold prediction. I'm going to be honest. I don't think this is a crazy take. I think you're winning. I think we win the West. I've been on record as saying I think we all have. I think it's the most talented team. If you win the West, it's not a bold, crazy prediction to think you in a 1-game playoff against somebody from the East. You can beat that team. I don't know if you don't even know if Ohio State's going to be there. Maybe it's a Penn State, maybe it's a Michigan, but I think Wisconsin in a one-off can absolutely, if the chips fall the right way, beat any of those teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, sorry. I think absolutely buying this. I do believe we're going to win the conference. We did a show a few weeks ago on like betting odds that had come out, and it's so interesting that Wisconsin was like plus 800 to win the conference, and really, what I mentioned about that is you're really taking plus 800 on one game because you assume that we're going to win the West, and if we do win the West, when we get into that game, it's going to be like plus 300, plus 350. So it's good odds. And yeah, look, I really do believe that in one game, I think maybe it's Michigan. Who knows who it's going to be? I think we do win the Big Ten. I'm buying that all day. I want to say one thing. John Berger called me out. I think he was right. I think I just did over 3,100 in our quarterback show. And I'm glad you said that. I have been doing a lot of thinking about Braylon Allen's season, and that has kind of brought my number down a little bit on Mordecai. But yes, I will say that I have flipped a little bit. So good call, Berger.
Nice. I love it. Good job, John. All right, guys, do you guys have any other? There's a couple more comments I want to get here. I want to have a last round for you guys. If you have any other bold takes that we didn't get to that you had written down that you were really excited about.
I will go because I know Ryan's going to sell this. Muma Chongmeta will be first team All-American.
Yeah,
that's bold. I would have gone first team All Conference.
First team All.
I won't. I'm gonna. You know what? I will say that he gets on a list. I don't think he's going to be first team All.
Okay.
I'm going to sell that.
Obviously.
We're aware. We're aware.
Really quickly, I do not want to be like the Muma hater. Like,
sure you don't.
First team All-American, I will be absolutely thrilled. I will do an entire podcast on I'll call myself Locked On Liars and do a whole show on how bad my take was. And it'll mean the Badgers defense is better than we probably anticipated if he has a first team All-American type of a year. That's a monster year. So I'm all here for it. I hope it happens. I would sell that. That's really hard to do. Justin, any other bold takes you had that we didn't get to?
Wisconsin will have a top 20 defense.
Mm.
With the change in offense, this is going to be tougher than people think it is going to be to get, but I think they still get it done. I believe in the defense. I think the dollar package is going to be a lot more disruptive than people expect. I think Hunter Wohler is going to have, if there's somebody who's going to be All-American, it would not shock me if Hunter Wohler absolutely catches fire. Yep. And turns into that guy. Like I said, the way he's going to be using this defense is going to be kind of like Jabril Peppers was at Michigan. And I think that he's going to be just all over the field causing havoc.
Yeah, I could buy the top 20 defense. That won't surprise me. I think it's partially a result of who we played this year. Like there's not
That's
many
accurate also.
Yeah, very good point there. It's the biggest question mark for me, really. You know, we obviously, the big storyline is the offense and what they're going to look like and how they're going to play. But the defense is, you know, they could be really, really good. You're right, Justin. Certainly a possibility of a top 20. They could also struggle a lot as well. I mean, especially look, if you get a couple of injuries and the key positions, like there could be some real problems with the defense as well. But yeah, so I think overall, I'm going to kind of just almost like abstain on this one because I really don't know how. I feel like I would probably buy it because it's a possibility, but yeah, that's a real big question mark in general.
Yeah, we didn't get to everyone, but I think we'll kind of wrap it up there. We'll end on this one. JB said, Tanner Mordecai will be the first Wisconsin quarterback drafted since Russell Wilson. Buying or selling?
I'm going to buy on that. I think he's going to be, I'm not sure where it will be unless he just catches absolute fire. You know, he's probably going to be a guy that's looking more round 5 through 7 range, but I wouldn't shock me to see him get drafted. I think the issue with him is that he's got some nice physical tools, but he's got nothing that you look at and you're like, this guy is an absolute game wrecker with his physical tools.
Yeah, I agree. I really think that 5th to 6th round is where he would probably land, and yeah, definitely buying him getting drafted.
Oh, yeah, I'm buying as well. I mean, I talked to the SMU guy when he came over, right? And they said, you know, he just one of the draft knocks was he hasn't proven it against better competition. If he has the type of year we think he's going to, even somewhere in between what Justin thinks and Rashid thinks, he's going to have proven it against Big Ten competition. At that point, he's a 5th, 6th, 7th round flyer guy for sure, and maybe a little better if he has a really good year.
How dare you, Blake Nelson, putting Sean Clifford 2.0 out there? Don't you dare!
He got
drafted. Talk about Tanner Mordecai in the same breath as that guy.
He got drafted.
He shouldn't have, though.
Matthew Anderson says,
I've never been so angry with a quarterback being drafted by the Packers than them taking Sean Clifford.
Yeah, he was like a 5th round pick, though, right? Like that's not.
The team has holes.
Matthew Anderson says top 20 D is not a hot take to me. That's a no-brainer, in my opinion. Matt, throw your hot take in the chat while we got everybody on really quick. I'm curious, where do you have them? What would be a hot take? Is top 10? What do you think their ceiling is? I'm curious about that one. We had another comment about Ches Malusi. I might have it up here still. Ches Malusi will have, I think we're all selling this one, but I want to get all everybody's bold takes in here. Ches Malusi will have more total yards than Braylon Allen rushing yards.
No, not close.
Absolutely selling. He will be a key part of the team, and he
won't be within 400 yards of it, probably.
Yeah, right.
Here's one from Gabe Ramos. This is flipping the script a little bit, guys. October 28th against Ohio State, the Badgers get their teeth kicked in at home. And then he goes on to say he's going to walk away with a lot of coin. Apparently, he's betting on Ohio State there. That is a fan faux pas. But, guys, chances of Ohio State coming in and just obliterating Wisconsin.
Certainly the chance is there, but I'm selling that it's going to happen because you have a home game at night. We're not going to get – we might very well get beat by a more talented and better team, but we are not going to get our teeth kicked in. Luke Fickell is not going to let that happen to his old team where he coached for so many years. He is never going to let that happen.
I have to see what's going to actually happen. I think it's being undersold. This defense is going to be different than what Wisconsin threw out there last year. There's going to be a lot more man coverage in it. There's going to be guys kind of mucking up the middle of the field to make Ohio State really have to earn it on the outsides. I'm not saying they're not going to put up points and get some things done. It's just not going to be as simple as it was the last couple of years where Wisconsin just had guys running free all over the field last year. That's not what we should see this year if the defense is being played according to scheme. So that will make a big difference in just how competitive the game is. I mean, again, there's still a athletic disadvantage that Wisconsin's at, and they're going to have to what it's going to come down to is, does Ohio State's quarterback have the talent to hit the throws that are there? And if he does, they could put up 50 on us again. If he doesn't, and the defense plays within its scheme and does a good job, the game could get really uncomfortable for them. And then you have a young quarterback who is maybe second guessing himself a few times and maybe puts the ball where he shouldn't.
Yeah, I would sell it. Not in Madison, not at night, not in Fickell's first year, not with a real quarterback, not with Braylon Allen. I'm selling them coming in and kicking our teeth in. And mind you,
not with the Locked On Badgers guys in the stadium.
Mind you, I'm buying them beating us, but I'm selling them getting, coming in and having our way. All right, guys, a couple really quick ones. Justin, looking at you right now, I'm staring at you on this one.
Good luck with that.
Bryson Green, first team All Big Ten.
I'm going to buy.
Okay.
I'm going to buy as well. Sounds like he's looking real good.
I'm going to sell. I just think there's too much depth at the spot. I think that the receptions are still going to get passed around a little much. I'm going to sell on that one. Bo Dragon does mention people. Fickell is great, but he's not Jesus. Thank you, Bo.
Always bringing it down, Bo.
Oh, man, I love Bo. All right, I think we'll wrap it up there. I didn't get to everything as per usual. We're 40 minutes. You guys are amazing. We got – actually, here's one more quick one. Mike says Allen wins Doak Walker this year. Book it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a definite possibility.
I could buy that as a possibility as well. All right, y'all. We have 140 watching right now, which is incredible. You guys are amazing. We're going to get more tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in to Locked On Badgers. Rajiv, Justin, thank you guys so much. And on Wisconsin, we'll talk again tomorrow.